I'm Jill Van Buren. I'm the retired elections administrator for the Benton County and still enjoy doing tours of the courthouse. I'm also the official historian for the courthouse. This is...
My name is Levon Atwood. I am the facilities tech for Benton County Public Works, and I am the maintenance tech for the Benton County Courthouse. Welcome. Come on in.
So as you go through the courthouse, you will see many of these beautiful old windows. All of the stained glass is original in the courthouse, and even the clear glass was in the courthouse until about 10 years ago. They finally replaced it because there's a state highway that goes right past our front door, and they were afraid that the noise and the pressure from the big trucks might damage those windows, and so they replaced them. But I want to tell you about the shutters. In the 1950s, when they decided that they wanted to update the courthouse, they got rid of a lot of their old things and basically had a garage sale. They sold the spittoons, and they also sold these shutters. There's a gentleman in town, and I don't know his name, who bought all the shutters, took them home and put them in his garage, where they stayed for the next 30 years. Much to the chagrin of his wife, I'm sure. But when it was decided that we would make the courthouse historic again, he brought the shutters back and returned them to Benton County. Just another example of how much this building is loved and the fact that it's so historic. It's cared for by all of the people in Benton County. The story that we are on now, the floor that we're on now, was not here when the courthouse was built. In order to expand and make offices available to the courts, we actually added a floor. We could do that because of the 24-foot ceilings. So this is where the district attorney's offices are. And the floor we call a floating floor because if you're walking on it, sometimes you can sense that it's shifting just slightly. So this is the floating floor in the district attorney's office. In order to add this floor, the courthouse, or the courtroom that was below us, would lose the sight of this beautiful medallion, this hand-carved wheel that used to look down on the one large courtroom for Benton County. So now the only way you can see this is to actually be on this floor, and it's a restricted floor, so it's nice that we can put it on video. So now we are up in what was originally the attic of the courthouse, and as you can see, the rooms are getting smaller and the roofs are beginning to slant. It was never meant to be used as offices, but as we needed more space, we just kind of took this over. You can see the beams and the bars that are actually supporting this part of the building. And here, they call this the atrium. It actually has no windows up here, but this is the top of the medallion which lets the sun through. And even though there are no windows, we have the skylights, and so the people who work up here have created their own garden. Now we're entering into what we call the bell tower room, the highest point in the courthouse that people can usually go up to it. So let's come on in. All right. This is the bell tower room. Just above us, you'll see the square that used to have a rope for one of the bells to come down. There are actually two bells up there. One was used to call fire volunteers when the town was small enough that that was possible. And then the other one is the one that actually tells the time and announces the hour. Generally, we're not allowed to go up into the bell tower, but we have special permission to do that today. When you are standing outside the courthouse and looking up, you will see a statue that's right here on the other side of this wall. Her name is Themis, and she is the goddess of justice. So in one hand, she will have a scales, and in the other hand, she will have a sword. Historically, she should also have a blindfold. But when Themis arrived from where she was made in Ohio, she came without a blindfold, which was quite a problem back in the day when everyone was historically trained and knew that that goddess should have that. So as our 8-foot lady was laying on the train car and the judges were looking at it, they had to decide what they were going to do about her. Were they going to move her back and get one with a blindfold? When one of the judges said, "We want our justice to see what she's doing." So they went ahead and put her up there. She's still there. You can see the little nut and bolt right here that holds her onto the building. She is the only remaining example of government statuary art in the valley. You probably have heard and seen carillons on college campuses. They're the bell-like machines that play music. This one actually belonged to an insurance company here in Corvallis back in the 50s. And when they decided to move their offices, they donated this to Benton County. It plays like a player piano, and it's been here, plays twice a day, and then also at Christmas time they play Christmas carols. I want to show you these beams over here. At one time, this little room was used as a law library for the district attorney's office and the lawyers. They realized after a while that the weight of the law books was creating hairline fractures in these beams. And so they had to move it down. They are now in a one-story building, and that's taken the pressure off of this room. So now, let's go up and see some bells.
So we're in the bell room portion of the bell tower. Here is the original fire bell. This was this they would ring whenever they needed to call the volunteer fire department down. Call in the fire brigade, we'll say. And then this here is the bell that tolls on the hour to let you know what time it is. So here we're looking at the fire bell. As you can see, it was cast in 1859, and there's a hole that runs through the floor, and it runs all the way down to the first floor. And when there was a fire, somebody would come in and they could ring the bell to call in the fire department. And everything, it was so quiet around here in comparison to today's environment where you can hear all the trucks going by and everything, where the bells, the sound would carry all the way to Philomath. And so you could hear the fire bell, and you could also hear you could hear the main bell that would chime on the hour as far away as Philomath. And then here's the hole for.
I had not heard that you could hear it all the way to Florence. Wow, that's amazing. So that's where the rope would go down, and then they just pull the rope. You could have warned her.
I'm sorry.
Do it again.
Your head's going.
If you come over here, watch your step. Then here is the main courthouse bell that rings on the hour. Everything was built by hand, original to the building. The bell sat silent for a number of years, and it was restored in the 70s. And as you can see, there's a 10-pound hammer that on the hour it raises and strikes the bell bow. And if you look closely, you can see that the hammer is milled custom and specific to the bell. Everything was built by hand, even the ironwork. You can see some of the markings here where they split it by hand. And master craftsman.
I'm wondering if this isn't the case that they sent the bell in. Because you see the wooden pegs?
In the corner here, we have the old pendulum for the clock, because the clock was originally a counterweight and pendulum system. And so the pendulum would hang from the ceiling and it would swing to count the seconds. Once a week, the clock tenders would come up here and reset the clock, and they'd have to crank all the weights up to one side, and it would take a week for them to drop down to the bottom, down to the next floor. This here is the original flagpole. Obviously, they've replaced it in the meantime, and so here it sits.
One thing that a lot of people don't realize is how unique this job is when you have historic building. When Levon has to work on the flag, he literally has to climb out a window and walk up that tower roof and work from that angle.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
when,
there's a hatch up there, and so I have to tie off and get up there and stand basically on the roof and raise and lower the flag and change, do all the things that you need to do to maintain it.
so when you're working with a historic building, it comes with all kinds of unique job needs. This is also on the National Historic Register, which means that there can be no alterations. We can't even put a nail in the wall without clearing it. So the building has been saved, and it is now protected by being a national treasure. Now, we're going to go up one more steep set of stairs, and we're going to see how all this works.
So here we see the clock mechanism of the clock tower. This was installed in 1881, the building. And it was originally a counterweight and pendulum driven system. They have since refurbished the clock and retrofitted an electric motor in the clock. The gears were so precise when they originally built it that they still run today. When they originally ran off of a counterweight and pendulum, and now they're running off of this little electric motor right here. It's like a little hobby motor. It controls all these big gears, everything. Keeps it running like clockwork, pardon the pun. Down in the left-hand corner, you can see some of the original weights that they would have to reset every week. They would have to crank them up to the ceiling, and then it would take them a week to drop. The cable at the end of this arm connects to the bell on the floor below, rings on the tower. Each of these arms controls a clock face facing in each direction on the building. It's driven by this center set of gears here. Here we have some of the directions for the use and care of the clock that were printed in, I believe, 1988. This is the ladder that leads up to yet another floor, and this is where we access the flag, which is at the very top of the building.
If you look out this little pane of glass, you'll see the saddle of the building. The building is built in an H shape, and that is you look down on the glass that is looking into the atrium that we just came through.
The bell is getting ready to chime. A couple minutes before the bell starts ringing, this arm drops down into this nautilus shape, and this set of teeth here controls each the number of times that the bell rings.